My name is Patrick Nolan. I'm an attorney licensed in the state of Missouri. This is Pat Talks Law. All right, big happenings today. I've got to, I had to do this in the car because I don't have any other time. I am a working attorney, which means that I tend to work between 12 to 14 hours a day, not counting any time I put into YouTube or other things like my personal interest in marijuana law and research. So before I begin and go any farther, I will say that if you are in the state of Missouri and you are a landlord or a tenant, you do need to look at how you are going to manage your properties coming up once medical marijuana actually starts making an appearance and the cards are available. I have prepared lease addendums that are available on pattalkslaw.com. I charge $25 for the packet of addendums. That's my own shameless self-promotion and plug. Thank you. I might mention it at the end of the video, but I'm not going to harp on this too much. So, a couple things that we need to address today. First and foremost is Nebraska. Fucking Nebraska. Nebraska. The state of Nebraska voted yesterday on the final hurdle to place a constitutional amendment on the Nebraska ballot in 2020. This amendment would officially end slavery in the state of Nebraska. Nebraska voted to put a constitutional amendment on the Nebraska ballot in 2020 to fucking end slavery. Thank God it measure cleared 44-0. But what? Okay. So apparently Nebraska, slavery had been banned in Nebraska by a constitutional amendment that the state of Nebraska passed in 1875. Yes, 1875. So in 1875, 10 years after the Civil War was over, the state of Nebraska passed a constitutional amendment outlawing slavery, except for criminals, except for prisoners and inmates. So what Nebraska did is, if you were convicted of committing a crime in the state of Nebraska, you could still be placed into a condition of involuntary servitude. They were called convict leasing. It was called convict leasing. So a landowner, a business owner could lease convicts from the state and basically put those people to work. No money for them. Now, in Nebraska's defense, you know, they do say that that hasn't been done in a long, long time. I don't know what a long, long time is. I haven't researched it yet. I saw this last night and then I needed to spend some time with my kids, so I haven't taken the time yet to go research when the last time Nebraska participated in convict leasing was. But, you know, this is part of the broader problem of the criminal industrial complex. Okay? What we have is we have a system that has grown up where it is profitable to put people in prison. And this directly relates to marijuana law, and medical marijuana specifically, because the number one thing that puts people in custody, in jails and in prison, is drug-related offenses. We have a private prison industry in Missouri and across the country that makes a shit ton of money. That is a professional legal term, shit done. It's a term of art. It means a fucking lot of money. They make a shit ton of money off keeping people incarcerated. Now, the private prisons, and look, there aren't that many But you have your county sheriffs that profit off keeping prisoners in custody. Missouri has had a massive influx of stories, and the Missouri Supreme Court just ruled that, you know, we're finally going to start doing something about the debtors' prisons that are de facto from municipal and associate circuit courts. We're no longer going to throw people in jail, back in jail, and keep them in the criminal justice system for decades because they can't afford to pay a board bill. And this is what we did in Missouri. We would arrest you, we'd charge you, you'd stay in prison, you'd stay in jail because they won't let you out. Then when you finally plead to a crime that likely you didn't commit, but you took the plea to get out of jail, we'd hit you with the board bill for the time that you were in jail that we wouldn't let you out. And then when you can't pay the board bill, we'd bring you back, throw you back in jail, run your board bill back up, and we'd keep doing this for 10, 15 years. Now, when I say we, I'm referring to the state collectively, not any individual court or judge. I'm not going to do that. It is a problem. It is offensive. Not every judge is like that. Matter of fact, I would say the majority are not. However, it only takes one for you to get that kind of reputation in your state. It only takes one for that to become a true stereotype. So it's something that has to end, and by God, progress is being made. Now, with Nebraska and the concept of convict leasing, Nebraska wasn't the only state that has done this. Other states have done this as well. All through the South, that was commonly done. You know, farm owners, plantation owners would then turn around and contract with the prison for the inmates, former slaves who have been accused of some bullshit crime, so they could be thrown in prison and then leased back out to this very same plantation that owned their ass 5 years before. Yeah, you saw the problem with this. This was a problem, and ultimately we put an end to it. Apparently, except for the very northern state of Nebraska. So, it's in Nebraska's interest to foreclose that in case someone decided that resurrecting the idea of slavery was a good thing. But wow, guys, the optics are horrible, just horrible. So that's a problem. Fuck, really? Slavery? It's 2019, and they're not going to vote on it until 2020. I can see it already, the headline. I'm Barbara Walters. This is 2020. Nebraska's finally going to end slavery. And we're going to make fun of them for the next 2 years. You really have no choice. It's Nebraska. Anyway, so Nebraska. On the upside, Congress has a bill that is making the rounds. They've got 108 sponsors or co-sponsors of it. The SAFE Act, which will allow access to state licensed medical marijuana or state licensed marijuana businesses to the financial networks. Right now, marijuana related businesses are barred from accessing financial networks because they fall under federal regulation. Banks cannot do business with you if you are operating a dispensary, cultivation facility, grow house, a farm. So banks, you're shut out of banking. It's a large cash business. There's a lot of risk, and quite frankly, there's a significant amount of crime. The SAFE Act is going to undercut that and allow banks to start doing business with companies and persons that are involved in the marijuana industry as it's been legalized at the state level. It's a phenomenal bill. It's not like it's a new thing. It was proposed last Congress too, and it died with 95 co-sponsors. I can only hope that Congress recognizes that there's momentum here. The populace of the country is pro decriminalization or legalization, depending on who you're talking to. Personally, I'm a decriminalization guy. I don't think it should have ever been criminalized. Legalization implies the government was right to criminalize it in the first place. But as that comes down, we don't know if this is going to pass. I would encourage you, contact your state reps, contact your senators, get this matched in the Senate, and then maybe there's a chance that we can end the prohibition of marijuana-related businesses using the banking system. Now that's going to make for a world of difference when it comes to how our businesses are able to function. And funding. I don't know where you're going to get your funding for a $10 million grow house. But chances are, if you can't get funding through normal business sources, it could have an impact. Now, I know there have been a bunch of companies in Missouri that have held out funding rounds for their eventual build-outs. And I've strongly considered investing in a few of them. But this is important. And finally, for today's brief update, holy shit, Batman. We have a state representative, Representative Pogue, but Representative Pogue has proposed a bill in Missouri to overturn the Constitutional Amendment 2, which passed with 66% of the vote. I don't know what the hell this guy is thinking, or why. Bottom line here is, that's not going to happen. Even if our legislator was stupid enough to put that on the ballot, they would get resoundingly smacked down. And for the people that live in Representative Pogue's district, you might seriously be thinking about a recall. That would not be an out-of-line thing to be considering at this point. Your representative is batshit crazy.